The dirt track thing is a drug. It's like a drug. You can't get it out of your system. Once it's in your blood, you can't get out of it.
Welcome back to Checkered Groups. Thank you guys all for joining me wherever you might be. We really do appreciate it. A couple of housekeeping items as always. If you have not yet checked out the Stars and Stripes collection from Black Dirt Racing Co., please head over to blackdirtracingco.com to check those out. We're really proud of them. We're excited for those to be released. And if the Stars and Stripes isn't your cup of tea, well, there's plenty of stuff up there for everybody. And today we have a stock car driver. So I'm looking forward to getting into this. And so without further ado, let's introduce him, Mr. Heath Vandenbosch. Heath, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Good.
Good, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for taking time out of your day to sit down with us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Well, why don't you start out a little bit telling us, who you are, what you do, what you do for a day job, what you race, kind of just give us a overview of Mr. Heath Vandenbosch.
Well, I'm Heath Vandenbosch. I live in Whiting, Iowa, kind of in between Omaha and Sioux City. I have my own body shop where I work on semis, but I am slowly getting out of that and retiring from that, actually, and moving to Minnesota here shortly. So I'll be a Minnesotan. I have 3 kids, just had a granddaughter here July 16th, so pretty proud of that. As far as racing goes, I race IMCA stock cars here locally at Park Jefferson. I've been to Denison, Iowa once, but mainly my home track is Park Jefferson Speedway.
Sweet, man. How long have you been doing it? If you're getting close to retire and you're one of the, and this isn't a bad thing, but one of the more seasoned racers that we've interviewed. So I'm curious, how long have you been doing this?
I've been racing. I just got back into it 3 years ago.
Okay.
So I retired when my daughter was born. She had an AFib, a tachycardia, which her heart was out of rhythm. So that scared me to death.
Yeah.
So I sold everything. So I had a family to raise, and I just recently got back into it. And my number used to be 34H back in the day. So now I changed it to 29V. So my number is 29V. So everybody in our family either has a 2 or a 9 in their birth date. And our actual anniversary falls on the 29th. So we picked 29 as a number. But just got back into it 3 years ago, really.
Huh.
Full time.
So how old is your daughter? So how long ago was it when you kind of stepped away from it?
She was 15 years old. So she's 17 now, going on 18. So I started racing back in 2000.
Oh, wow.
And I started racing a NASCAR, they called them NASCAR Super Trucks, which was a stock car with a truck body on it. And I raced those for a few years, sold that, and I got into a stock car and raced the IMCA ever since. And I think I raced from 2000, and then my daughter was born in 08.
Oh, wow.
So she was born in August of 08, and I sold everything probably in September, October of 08.
That's interesting. So racing back in the early 2000s, I know like that's when I was like big into NASCAR. That's when NASCAR was in its big heyday, all of that stuff.
Yep.
But how is it different from the scene that you race on at the local track? Has racing changed much at the local level? Obviously, I wouldn't know because I wasn't involved in it back then, but is it the same? Is it different? Everybody always talks about the heyday of racing was back in the early 2000s, late 90s, and all that stuff.
I was going to say NASCAR, the Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, who were the guys back in like the 90s, 2000s.
Oh, yeah, like Sterling Marlin.
Yeah, those were NASCAR's heyday.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the local dirt scene, nothing's really changed much besides the technology and like shocks, the springs, car setups. But to me, I think that is the biggest change. The steering, we used to have just steering quickeners that we'd hook up to stock steering boxes. Now they got steering boxes that are pretty much 6-to-1, 8-to-1, 12-to-1 steering ratio. So some of that technology has changed since the early days to now. But other than that, I think the car designs are pretty much the same. as far as the cages go and everything. And we're still running like the 80 Monte Carlo body style, but IMCA just came out with the new Camaro body style that we can run now. So they're trying to make it a little bit more advanced, appealing to the younger crowd.
Sure. So that whole like adapt or die mentality, you kind of got to change a little bit, but you still want to stay true to
Yeah.
your roots for sure. So that makes
Yep,
sense.
yep. So we got a choice of what body we can run.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And what do you run? Do you run the Monte Carlo or do you run the Camaro?
I run the Monte Carlo with a Camaro front nose
Okay.
and a Camaro rear bumper, so it's a little bit different. The front fenders, I have somebody do my body, and he put like Cadillac fenders on it,
Very cool.
front fenders. He makes a pretty neat body.
Yeah, that's super
Lot
cool.
of people use them. Yep.
Awesome,
I wish
man.
I had in the background, but
Well, man, I have actually I think this would be an interesting response with you kind of getting out of racing for a little while, but getting into it, early 2000s, getting out of it, getting back into it recently. But what made you start racing? And then what kind of brought you back to it?
I started racing. I've always went to the racetrack as a little kid. So I grew up in northwest Iowa, by the border of South Dakota, up way up north. And my parents would take me to Houston Speedway, Rock Rapids Speedway. We used to watch sprint cars up there. And back in the heyday, I actually got to see Jeff Gordon run around Houston back when he was first starting. So my parents kind of introduced it to me. And then I moved to Sioux City. Some friends of mine went to the racetrack. I thought it was pretty cool, kind of hung around that. And then I started working in a body shop in Sioux City, Iowa. And the guy I worked for was doing enduros. So it was like a 200 lap race around a little track. And whatever happens, if the whole track was blocked, they throw a caution. So if a bumper came off, you just had to avoid it. So it was kind of like endurance race. And I got to sit in the passenger seat. I thought that was the coolest thing. So he kind of got me into that just by doing one enduro. So I went ahead and bought a super truck, NASCAR used from somebody, and then just started doing it that way with a buddy of mine.
That's awesome. And then what brought you back to it? Was it just missing it and the love of the game and the love of the sport to bring you back to
I,
it, or?
the dirt track thing is a drug. It's like a drug. You can't get it out of your system. Once it's in your blood, you can't get out of it. Uh, the only way I had to get out of it completely was, well, raise my family and not go to the racetrack and watch it. Because if I went there and watched it, I wanted a car. I wanted it bad. So uh, for me to get back into it was a family decision. I've asked the wife, asked the kids, and they all said yeah. And end up collecting a bunch of frames, taking it to a chassis builder, and uh, got going back into it again.
I know exactly what you mean because though I haven't been a driver yet, but I didn't go to my first dirt track until this last April. So it's only been what four months or so, maybe not even. But I think I said it in a previous episode. I was texting one of my buddies the other day, and I was like, dude, every time that I go to the track, I just am consumed with trying to figure out how I can get on track quicker. Now I have this 2 year goal and this 2 year plan, but every time I'm there, it's just like I have to do this like tomorrow. I have to go find a car. It's
Yeah.
exactly right. It's a drug. I mean, it's a sickening drug.
It's a good drug in a way.
Right.
It's something you have fun with your friends, your buddies, your families involved. But it's just, getting behind that wheel, it's a rush. It's get your adrenaline pumping. You put that helmet on, all your stresses of the day is gone, or the week, or
Right.
the month. Everything. You put that helmet on, you get behind the wheel, you're on track. That green flag drops. You're probably nervous as heck, before that happens. But once that green flag drops, you're not thinking about anything but beating that guy in front of you, or you're not thinking about anything else. It's all your troubles are gone.
Yeah, man, I'm counting down the seconds till I can make that happen. I am counting down the
It's
seconds.
some people just don't know the feeling. With us racers, we get it. That's why it's a bad drug. I mean, it's addicting.
Right. it's addicting. It's expensive, and there's really no
Yep.
real reason why you should love it as much as you do, and you can't really explain it to people. And people have asked me that. I've said this before too. Of people have asked me like, "Hey, this seems really random. Like, why do you all of a sudden want to be in racing?" It's like, no, I've always wanted to get into it, but then once I took the step off the deep end and said, "No, this is what I'm gonna do." I mean, it's been it's overcoming for sure.
And it is overcoming for a guy like you wanting to get into it because you haven't probably been into it like I have. I've
Mm-hmm.
never like where do you start? What do you get? We just end up buying somebody's used chassis and a used engine from this guy, used transmission from that guy. Just start trying to picking up stuff here and there, trying to get that car together so we can go on the track. We've ran used tires, used rims, just anything and everything to get out there, at the beginning. And then once you get going and rolling and start getting some sponsors behind you, then you can start adding uh, build new engines, getting new tires and all that stuff. But it can be overwhelming just to start. And where do you start if you've never done it before?
So that's a great segue into that question. Is that what you would suggest for someone like me who's trying to find my foot in the door, trying to find my way into it? Is buying up used stuff, buying it here and there. And I've kind of said now I'm probably either an engine or a chassis I'm going to buy this year, and I don't. It's whatever I stumble into a better deal on, right? And then
Yes.
whatever I don't buy now, I'll buy the next one next year, and that's why I think it's a 2-year goal because it's a big. I mean, it's a big financial commitment at the end of the day.
It's a big investment. You got to almost look at it. You're investing your time, you're investing your money into. You're going to want that best used engine, at a good deal. I would be a little bit leery on trust the person you're going to buy it from, though. Also, uh, even the chassis, if it's a look it all over real good, make sure it's something good. If you can find something local to you that, hey, you can go over and ask the guy questions, at the racetrack, if he's there, just that would be a suggestion too, is trying to find somebody local instead of buying an engine 4 hours away and then you get it home and it's, blown up.
Right.
I'd hate to see that happen. Uh, and it has happened. So you just got to be careful though too with buying new stuff.
Sure. Sure. Well, so then what does the future look like for you, man? What's the path forward? What's the rest of the year? You got some goals for this year, goals for, the next couple years, or are you kind of content where you're at and you're going to keep running the circuit on the
I'm
weekends?
I'm just going to do the local dirt track thing. Where actually what I'm doing is I'm from my body shop. I'm helping my parents farm, and then I'm moving up to Minnesota to help my dad run his campground. So I'm going to run some stuff locally up in Minnesota. I'll be back down here in Iowa in the spring and fall. So I'll try and run some stuff locally down here. My whole goal is I'm hoping next year I can make the IMCA Super Nationals for the whole week.
Yeah.
I love to take my dad there, take the family. My daughter's not going to be too far away from there, so uh, I think that's the goal is trying to get them to the Super Nationals next year. And
That'd be sick.
it takes a lot of money to run the Super Nationals.
Does it? Where is
It
that
is
ran? Where's that ran at?
it is ran in Boone, Iowa.
Boone. Okay.
It's over by Ames, Iowa. It's probably straight east of us, probably about 2.5, 3 hours.
Okay.
And it brings in the best of the best from California to New York,
Sure.
from Texas to Canada. Uh, it'll bring in some Australians,
Oh
which
wow.
I raced against an Australian Sunday night for our local special here.
Really?
So he's racing a stock car. Yep. Yep. He was from Australia.
That's super cool. No, that's super
Yep.
cool, man.
I unfortunately took him out.
Oh,
I spun him out the heat
yeah.
race.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Where up in Minnesota you going? I got family up in Minnesota.
We are we're moving to it's kind of by Painesville, Minnesota. It's probably about 20 minutes west of St. Cloud, Minnesota,
Okay.
on Highway 23.
Sure.
So my parents live on a lake, have a campground, and so he's getting up there in age. So, but both my parents are kind of up there in age, so I'm going to try and run back and forth. It's going to be about 4 hours away from here, 4.5.
Huh. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You mentioned Sioux City a lot. This is kind of off topic, but I got a good buddy, actually, the co-owner of Black Dirt Racing Co. that I was talking about in the intro. He lives in Sioux City, and his dad raced up in Sioux City for a long time, and I think he did
Hey,
for a
who's that?
short stint. Andrew Tenold is the name of my buddy. I can't remember
Okay.
what his dad's name is, but Tenold would be the last name. But his dad, I think, had a bad accident back in the day, from what I hear about, and he can't race anymore or something. But
I know the name. I think I ran against him.
yeah,
Did
I
I
wouldn't
don't
be
know if he ran
surprised.
stock cars. Andrew Tenold almost sounds familiar.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
name sounds really familiar.
I'll have to ask Andrew. I'll ask Andrew if he or his dad, if your name rings a bell. I'll have to ask him about that.
Yep, yep. I didn't take no shit on the track. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
You can't.
No,
If you're
you
gonna get into
can't.
racing, don't let them bully you around. You know they're gonna want to rub you, hit you. You know, some of those other guys have been doing it a while are gonna test you out a little bit. So, uh, don't take no shit from nobody.
It seems like
You
that's kind
know.
of I help out a B modified team right now, and it's like taboo, like you don't touch each other. But then you watch like the stock cars run, and I mean it's door banging, like it's beating and banging, and it's a lot
You know,
rougher, it seems.
rubbing's okay. A little rubbing's okay, but yeah, the door banging, almost spinning each other out.
Yeah,
That's not okay. That's not cool.
right,
That's when you got to stand your ground and say, nope, ain't gonna deal with this.
right,
And then you get the respect, and they don't touch you on the track because they know
sure,
you're going to retaliate. You
right,
know,
right.
so I've been in some incidences where I've been kicked out of the track for taking somebody out,
Oh
and
shit.
because the guy retaliated. Oh yeah,
Well, you
it
gotta
can get a
tell me
little.
about that. What happened?
Oh, back in the day before I retired, our car was pretty fast. We had a pretty fast car. I raced two tracks up there in Sioux City. We used to have tracks right across the road from each other. So one night, Saturday night was at this track. Sunday night was at this track. So Saturday night, this guy just door slammed me and put me in the wall, took me out, ruined the whole front end. So I busted butt, got the car back together, and this track over here was unsanctioned. So I had a honking motor back in the day. So I just put we had to run a 350 CFM carb, which had like throttle like
Oh wow.
peanuts. So I put a bigger carburetor on it, that a 500 CFM carburetor on it. Went over and ran, and I bumped him in the back end, and we ran the race. He got first, I got second. I never touched him. I just bumped him, just hit him on the back end on the start. But he decided after the race to run me down to the infield. And when he did that, he kind of came up in corner 3 and 4, and I just did a cold trick, cold trickle Days of Thunder move on him and just slammed him in the back end and spun him around.
That's
They
awesome.
kicked me out of the track, and I just told the promoter, I says, I'm fine with going home. Send him home too.
Right. Right. Yeah.
They
This
let me
is.
go and race, that night, but then my car didn't want to start. So
Yeah. Shit.
it's either wreckers or checkers that year.
Yep.
We either got the checkered flag, or we cut start, or we wrecked.
Yep. Yep. Checkers a record. One of my favorite quotes right there. Well, cool, man. Well, what's a I know we talked a little bit about, start slow, buy things here and there, but what's a good piece of advice that you would give to somebody like me? Like hey, look out for this, or hey, this worked good for me, or this is how I would go about it if I could do it back over again, of getting into it, the do's and don'ts of getting into racing. What would you suggest for me?
The dues, don't skip on safety equipment. Make sure you buy brand new belts. Safety is number one.
Right.
You got to think safety. Number two, get a good chassis. That would be the thing I would look for. Get a good used chassis that that you trust, that if you bought it, that you can go to the chassis builder and ask questions. Uh, Number three, I would say, there's nothing wrong with buying used parts, just getting started. So try and find good used parts and get out there on the track, have fun. And then number four, take your time when you're on the track. If you don't feel comfortable starting on the pole position, there's nothing wrong with starting in the back. If you don't feel like, hey, I don't want to wreck my stuff and wreck this guy,
Right.
that's pretty, you know, honorable of somebody. Hey, I'm going to start in the back, get used to it, get my feet wet. I'm just starting. I'm not going to get in anybody's way. Uh, Make sure you listen to the guys on the receivers. I'm sure every track, you're from Missouri. I think
Mm-hmm.
everybody runs a race receiver.
Yep.
Just listen to the guys on the race receiver. If you're getting lapped, just hold the line.
Right.
Once you're out there driving on dirt, people don't understand. Dirt's a lot different than, asphalt. You got a groove. You got, where the black stuff is, where the grip is.
Mm-hmm.
Dirt, you're gonna have to figure out trying to read the track. There's some nights I read it wrong. There's some nights we read it right because you're gonna have some dry slick spots.
Right.
You're gonna have some moisture, so you're gonna have to kind of get used to that. The darker the area in the dirt, there's gonna be a lot more moisture. So you might want to hit that. If you can run, if the moisture's all the way to the top, run the berm. Rip the lip.
Mm-hmm.
Like I messaged you last night, and you can run the top, or if you got to run the bottom, or if there's a little patch in the middle, you can run. Uh, and start trying to figure that stuff out
Sure.
as a new driver. Start really paying attention to the track. It's just not let's hop in, let's put our helmet on, got my new safety gear, got a good chassis. Now it's time to start looking at the track,
Sure.
seeing what the track conditions are doing,
Yeah,
and then start sitting.
that's been the big benefit behind working with this team that I've been working with is I ask, I'm sure they get sick of it, or maybe I don't think they do, but I'm sure they get tired of answering questions at some point because just every night it's okay, why are we doing this? Or okay, why are we doing this tire pressure? Okay, hey, I saw you went to the bottom here, but your car's been bad on the bottom, so why did you try that? Or okay, what are we reading the track, or what is this hole doing to your car? Like the amount of questions that I come up with throughout the night. But that's also a huge advantage, right? Because then eventually once I'm able to get into the car, I'm like, okay, now it's a different view, but I have a general idea of what I'm looking at least.
Yeah, yep, you gotta, yeah, but you just ask questions. Don't trust everything they're going to tell you either.
Right.
Ask your competitor, hey, don't trust everything because
Right.
they're not going to give you everything. They're going to give you little bits and pieces.
Right.
But you know, just like you said, why did you run low? Well, why did I run high? And they're all running low. Well, you got to pass them somewhere. You got to
Mm-hmm.
go where they're not
Right.
sometimes. So you got to try it. If you try it one lap or two laps, it starts feeling good. And you start, hey, I'm gaining on these guys a little bit. Sometimes you got to go where they're not, where the
Sure.
car's not. Sometimes you'll find out that, hey, running around in a circle right behind somebody isn't no fun, and bumping them or spinning them out to get by them is no fun.
Right.
You know, so you got to kind of search out the track a little bit and go where some people are not just to get by them.
Sure. No, that absolutely makes sense. No,
If
that
your car
absolutely makes
feels good
sense.
in that line, you might want to keep going in that line. If it doesn't, next lap you do something different.
Sure. Yeah. Searching for the grip. Yep.
Yep.
That makes sense. Well, cool, man. Well, that kind of wraps up my questions that I typically ask. But, for the end of these, what I like to do is just kind of open the floor to you to, anything that you didn't have a chance to talk about, or, if you have any kind of merchandise or social media stuff that you try to promote, or really anything. It can, whatever you feel that, you didn't get a chance to say, I kind of like to say, the floor is yours. So by all means, sir, the floor is yours.
I just want to say thanks for everybody for watching. If you want to buy a t-shirt, we got t-shirts available. We only have XL down to, I think I got a few U smalls left. So if you want to purchase those, you can message me on Facebook I think you can find me at Heath Vandenbosch, or I got Vandenbosch Racing on Facebook, or you can find me on TikTok. You can find me, uh, I think I got Instagram too at Vandenbosch Racing. So you can find me anywhere on social media if you want.
Wonderful. Well, I will definitely be picking one of those shirts up, man. I love to support you guys, and I like racing shirts, so I'll definitely be picking one of those up. And I'll make sure that all of Heath's stuff is linked down in the description below, so you guys can get in touch with him, all of his social media stuff like that. Um, but Heath, man, hey, thank you so much for coming on tonight and telling your story and passing on some of the knowledge. I think that it's a really cool and commendable thing that you did with stepping away for a while but getting back into it. That's a unique thing, and I think that's awesome, man.
It, hey, got to take care of family first, then racing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, yeah, 100%. Couldn't say it any better myself. So, once again, Heath, thank you so much, and have a great rest of your night, sir.
Yep, you too. Thanks, Alex.